The first time she said my name, it sounded like a command disguised as silk. I had worked at Harrington Global for 3 years, climbing from intern to executive assistant, surviving on caffeine, discipline, and the quiet promise I made to my late father that I would never settle for ordinary. And then there was her, Elena Voss, my boss, CEO, visionary, ice queen of the corporate world. The kind of woman who could silence a boardroom with a single glance and make billion-dollar investors shift in their seats. She was untouchable. At least that's what I believed. The night everything changed, the company was hosting its annual investor gala. Crystal chandeliers glowed like suspended stars. Cameras flashed. Reporters lingered near the entrance, hungry for a headline. Elena stood at the center of it all, flawless in a midnight blue silk blouse and tailored skirt, every inch the empire she built. I stood 3 steps behind her, tablet in hand, tracking schedules and whispers. That was my role: observe, anticipate, execute. Invisible but indispensable. Halfway through the evening, the atmosphere shifted. I noticed it before anyone else did. A bead of sweat near her collarbone, a tightness in her jaw, the subtle tremor in her hand as she reached for her champagne glass. Elena Voss did not tremble. "Sir," she said softly, without turning around. My heart stuttered. She never addressed me directly in public. "Yes, ma'am. Walk with me." We moved toward a private hallway behind the ballroom. The music muffled behind heavy doors. The laughter faded. The moment the doors shut, she exhaled sharply, one hand gripping the wall. "Are you okay?" I asked, stepping closer. Her composure cracked just slightly. "The clasp," she whispered. "It's broken." I blinked, confused. "My blouse." The inner fastener snapped. "If I walk back out there like this, it will be obvious." The silk fabric had shifted slightly at the back seam. A wardrobe malfunction, small to some, catastrophic for someone whose public image was precision. She turned her back to me. Close enough that I could smell her perfume. Jasmine with something darker beneath it. "Undo my blouse," she said quietly. "They don't need to know this." Time froze, not because of what she asked, but because of what it meant. Trust. Vulnerability. The most powerful woman in the building standing inches away, asking for help no one else could see. My hands hesitated only a second before moving carefully to the hidden zipper. I kept my movements professional, deliberate. The hallway felt electric, not with romance, but with risk. One wrong step and reputations would shatter. The zipper slid down. She held the fabric closed in front, her breathing steadying. "In my office," she said. "There's a spare blazer." I draped my suit jacket over her shoulders first, shielding her from any wandering eyes, and walked beside her to the private elevator. Inside that mirrored box, the silence roared. "You noticed before anyone else," she said finally. "It's my job." "No," she replied, meeting my eyes in the reflection. "It's instinct." When we reached her office, she stepped behind the privacy screen and changed into a sharp white blazer, emerging once more as the invincible CEO. But something had shifted. Not in her. In us. She studied me differently now. Not as an assistant. Not as background. "Thank you," she said, voice softer than I'd ever heard. "Most men in this building see power when they look at me. You saw a problem to solve." I didn't know what to say, so I told the truth. "I see a person carrying too much alone." Her expression flickered. Surprise, maybe even relief. That night, she returned to the ballroom stronger than ever. No one suspected a thing. Investors applauded her speech. Cameras adored her. The empire remained intact. But the next morning, I was called into her office. The blinds were half drawn. The city stretched endlessly behind her. "I need someone I can trust," she said. "Not just with schedules, with everything." That was the beginning, not of an affair, of a partnership that would test loyalty, ambition, and the fragile line between personal and professional. Because when powerful people let you see their cracks, you become responsible for protecting them. And sometimes, protecting them means risking everything. If this story is pulling you in already, make sure you subscribe, because what happens next will change both of us forever. Trust is heavier than desire. People think temptation is the hardest thing to resist. It isn't. Betrayal is. Over the next few weeks, Elena brought me into meetings no assistant had ever attended. Acquisition strategies, confidential negotiations, a hostile takeover brewing beneath the surface of polite boardroom smiles. Someone inside the company was leaking information. Stock prices fluctuated suspiciously before every major announcement. Competitors anticipated our moves. Elena's empire wasn't cracking from outside pressure. It was being eaten from within. And she trusted me to help her find the rot. Late nights became routine. Empty office floors. City lights blinking below us like silent witnesses. One evening, after reviewing security logs, she leaned back in her chair and closed her eyes. "Do you know why I asked you that night?" I knew she didn't mean the blouse. "No, because you didn't look at me like an opportunity." Her voice wasn't seductive. It was tired, honest. "Everyone wants something from me," she continued. "Money, status, access. You just fix the problem." I swallowed. "I want something." Her eyes opened slowly. "I want this company to succeed. I want to build something that matters." A faint smile touched her lips. "Good answer." But the tension between us wasn't romantic. It was charged with unspoken understanding. The kind that forms when two people stand on the edge of something dangerous together. The breakthrough came at 2:17 a.m. A pattern in encrypted email timestamps. A board member using a secondary device. Quiet transfers routed through shell companies. I laid the evidence on her desk. She didn't react at first. Then her jaw tightened. "Prepare the legal team." Quietly. The confrontation happened 3 days later in the executive conference room. I stood behind her chair as the accused board member realized the trap had closed. "You think you can threaten me?" he spat. Elena's voice was calm steel. "No, I think I can replace you." Security escorted him out within minutes. The stock stabilized within hours. By sunset, the company was safe. That evening, she called me into her office once more. No gala, no broken clasp, no crisis. "You could have sold that information," she said. "Do you know how much it would have been worth?" "Yes." "Why didn't you?" "Because loyalty isn't about proximity. It's about principle." "Because you trusted me," I answered. She walked to the window, the city glowing behind her silhouette. "You've outgrown this position." My chest tightened. "I'm promoting you," she said. "Director of Strategic Operations." I stared at her, stunned. "You earned it," she added. "Not because you were close to me, because you were capable." For a moment, silence wrapped around us again. "You know," she said thoughtfully, "most people would have misinterpreted that night in the hallway." "I know. And yet here we are." "Yes," I replied. "Stronger." She extended her hand, not as a boss, as an equal. I shook it. The world outside still saw her as untouchable, powerful, flawless. But I knew something different. Strength isn't about never breaking. It's about choosing who gets to see you when you almost do. And sometimes the most intimate moments aren't romantic at all. They're built on trust, restraint, and respect. If this story moved you, if you believe loyalty, ambition, and integrity still matter in a world obsessed with scandal, then subscribe to the channel. Because the next story might just remind you that real power isn't in secrets whispered in the dark. It's in the character you reveal when no one is watching.